We Christmased again. That sounded vaguely dirty. No, because you're gonna hit the camera.
No, I know where my knee is.
She died somehow. What did we watch?
I don't know the name of it.
Okay, so this one was kind of special, and not in a very special kind of way. So, a lot of the ones we do for the Christmas thing were stuff that I had on VHS as a kid. And we had this one called From All of Us to All of You, and it was produced under the banner of Wonderful World of Disney, which was like what the Disney Sunday specials would be on when they were aired on a channel other than the Disney Channel. Now, I'm pretty sure we taped this off the Disney Channel during one of their free-to-watch weekends close to Christmas. So I grew up watching this, you know, every year, but apparently it has this really weird history that it was originally called From All of Us to All of You, and it debuted in 1958, and it was like a Disney kind of clip show that was vaguely Christmas themed, but then it was repackaged in the early 80s for foreign markets, and then there was a TV version, which is probably the one that we had taped on VHS. Then there was a VHS release in 1990. And all of these versions were not on YouTube. Even like in little cheating ways of like it being in like a small corner of the screen. So I actually ripped it off Dailymotion, and then it took like 30 minutes to download, and then the MP4 wouldn't play on our smart TV, and it wouldn't play on the PS4. So Hagen had to boot up her old laptop, and we had to watch it in Media Player. And it was not the version that I was expecting. It was an even more low-rent one where there was like this weird kind of like Greek chorus that would come in between clips and sing about Cinderella and Christmas. You haven't said anything, and I'm concerned.
Fuck, this was lazy.
It really was. No, because the version that we had, I think the TV version from the late 80s, early 90s, had a framing device, had an intro with Jiminy Cricket and Mickey and stuff, like a little song. And then the framing device was taken from a short where Donald Duck gets a part-time job working in the gift wrapping department of a department store. And the thing is, it's just a regular day. It's not a Christmas thing. But what they did was... What are you doing? Why are you doing jazz hands? Not really jazz hands. Why are you doing that?
I'm not.
Okay. So I'm just going to keep talking.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
Okay, sorry, the memory card ran out. It flashed a little red light, and I was like, oh, no. It's a Christmas fire. But yeah, so there's like, because it's late stage...
Where were we?
Huh?
Where were we in the thing before the remember when I...
With Donald Duck and the little tube that talks to him.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a little... Yeah, there's like a little like old-timey talking tube that his boss is like constantly yelling at him through. But it's like an appendage. It's like an extension of his boss because like he can smell perfume through it. And like...
It's not how it works.
Yeah, well that's not how sound works at all. But it's very like, you know, this is capitalism.
Yeah.
Your boss is... It doesn't sound busy enough. You're not working hard enough.
So, based on what she said, the Donald Duck sort of 3-minute bit and the other one's cut into multiple small bits?
Yeah, that was the framing device. Was that he was... Because what they did was they ADR'd over the little talking thing, you know, and we're like, well, Mr. Duck, we know it's Christmas Eve, but, oh, here's a lovely present for Cinderella. And then, like, a package would come down, he'd have to wrap, and that would lead into the bit from Cinderella.
There's a hell of a lot of very, very lazy ADR in this. Like, they just have, here's the thing with Cinderella. Here's the entire bit where Cinderella gets sort of magicked into an outfit.
The Bippity Boppity Boo song.
Yeah. And then right at the end, when she's going off to the fucking ball, they've dubbed in really badly the Fairy Godmother saying, Merry Christmas, Cinderella!
I don't recall it being in the Winter Ball, but whatever. I know, I'm like, some of it is like...
It was at Halam Sharal.
It was the Winter Palace. And then, like, they didn't have one of my favorite ones from the one from TV, which is where Chip and Dale get into Donald Duck stuff, and they actually, like, have a war with him. Like, you know, they, like, with the toy soldiers and everything, and I really liked that, but... There was one with Chip and Dale, and Mickey Mouse comes and cuts down their tree, and so then they antagonize Pluto for a while.
Chip and Dale, look at the Spider Rangers.
Oh, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the show that spawned so many furries.
There was...
Not that that's a bad thing, by the way.
Yeah, so the best way to describe this thing...
Lazy.
Well, lazy, it was like, imagine Fantasia crossed with the Star Trek Next Generation episode of Shades of Grey, because that's like the worst clip show TV episode possibly ever.
As you recall, Mickey.
Yeah.
Well, it opens up with one of their, like, original shorts with, like, a guy and a girl going ice skating for the day. And, of course, she's worn, like, a big hoop skirt because it's the old-timey America where that happens. And then, like, there's a boy and girl bunny that join them. And, of course, like...
And it's a nice little... It's like a very, very small... It's not a pond, it's not a lake, it's somewhere in between, but it's all gentle and frozen solid.
Yeah, it looks like the mill pond or something.
And then, but then the second, the ice starts cracking, then it turns into a fucking raging torrent river with a waterfall.
It does, and the waterfall, you look down, it's like the height of Victoria Falls in Africa. Like...
Because of the snow, I can only assume it's Victoria Falls in Canada.
Well, it could be Niagara. But it's not wide enough to be Niagara. But the thing is, so it really is, like, straightness the Christmas short. But, I mean, like, I'm not trying to be all SJW about it, but, like, it's basically, like, the boy skater, like, goes and, like, shows off and jumps over stuff and goes fast, and he, like, does that thing where he goes shh and shaves the ice all over. And then the boy rabbit does something similar. He knocks his girl rabbit friend into the ice, and so, like, both girls of various species storm up in a huff, and the boys are dejected, like, oh... Our testosterone made the girls not kiss us. Oh.
Oh, damn heteros.
Yeah, so then they storm off, and the boy rabbit notices they're storming right past a sign that says danger thin ice. And so he's like, oh no, and he like takes the thin ice, and he's like, look, but they're both like, shun, not listening to you, man.
The thin ice, the danger thin ice sign is in the ice.
It's been planted into the ice.
Jammed in there sharply. When he pulls it out, then it starts to crack.
Aye.
So it's like, I don't know if the person who made this was dumb or the person who put the sign there in the thing as part of the world building was dumb. World building.
So, yeah, so of course them ladies are now in incredible peril, and so the boy rabbit and the boy skater try to save them, and they end up knocking themselves out cold.
He was a skater boy.
He was.
She's like, see you later, boy.
And so the girl rabbit and the girl skater, and they're both human, by the way, the skaters. In case you, it's Disney. You have to specify that kind of thing. So they end up on a piece of ice, almost going over. But then the two horses and two bluebirds, end up saving them, and then all is happy.
Bluebirds are there now.
Yeah, and it implies later that they, might go home and cut a hole in the sheets that night. Because it's like the old timey thing where we's a courting in the farmlands of the Heartland, and then we lynched some people because it's the before times. It's farm times now. So that was really weird. It had the scene from Bambi where they go out in the ice.
Yeah, and we had this whole discussion over the name Bambi because it's now become like a stripper name, but really Bambi was a boy, and so if Bambi wasn't originally a boy's name, why was Bambi called Bambi? And
you had to Google it.
Apparently, it's short for Bambino or Bambina,
which is Italian for little child,
making it a unisex name. And my theory that unisex names tend
the autofocus is going. Come back to it. There we go.
And
I felt like Doctor Strange just then. Come back to us.
But it demonstrated. It was yet more proof of my theory that unisex names tend to, over time, gravitate towards becoming girls' names because there's.
I know. Keep talking.
There's a bunch of mothers who are all like, well, this is this wonderful name with all the the boy unisex name, and then. But if they see a lot of girls with names, they're like, oh, well, I don't want to name my son the same name as a girl's name, even though it's not a girl's name, it's a unisex name, so they stop naming the boy. Like, classic example, Vivian.
It's sweet little Bradley and Snotley.
There's...
The H's are silent.
Very. I don't know why.
Vivian used to be a boy's name?
Yeah. Vivian's a unisex name.
Oh.
Well,
I've only seen it with, like, the French way, because my her first baby is Vivienne. With the NNE, the French name.
One of the main characters in the Young Ones is called Vivian.
Oh.
But it's a unisex name, but it hasn't been used for boys often in a long time.
Well, here's the weird thing about Bambi. So I saw Bambi when I was a little kid, like maybe 4. And so...
It was that tall.
I was. I was, because I was a very short child. I'm a very short adult. Go figure. My parents are also short. They're shorter than me now, because of osteoporosis. But, Lucas, go down the hole. I've been saying that for like days. But no, so when I was little, I saw Bambi. So Bambi, Thumper, and Flower, who are a rabbit and a skunk respectively, if you've ever seen Bambi, because it is kind of one of the oldest Disney ones. they had really high-pitched voices. And they had really long eyelashes. So I thought that they were girls. And then the part where, like, they come out in the spring and they're all, like, you know, young, horny men, that really confused me. Because they all had male voice actors.
I conclude that Bambi and Thumper and Flower were all trans men.
But I didn't know what transgender was when I was 4.
And in Flower's case, you know, very queer trans man, because, you know, only the most flaming of trans men would call himself Flower.
Well, his cousin's Pepe Le Pew, so he's learning, like, rapist techniques.
Oh, dear.
From Pepe Le Pew. But so there was that. There was the Bippity Boppity Boo one. There was a cut from the sword in the stone.
Merry Christmas, Cinderella!
And it was so bad because it was nothing like... Oh. It was nothing like the original voice actress's voice at all.
It was as distracting as the bit in Bed-Knobs and Broomsticks DVD release where they included a new scene that had been originally cut, but the audio was gone in that scene. So
was it The Age of Not Believing? Because I know that was cut from American VHS.
No, this is a different one, because
Okay.
that's in the British one the entire time. There's another song, which I can't remember the name of, where they lost the audio tracks, so they had to redub the entire scene in song.
Oh, no.
And it is distractingly badly done. I have Bed-Knobs and Broomsticks on DVD, but I never watched it on DVD because of that abomination. You don't even have the option to watch it without it. It's like, you're like, Bed-Knobs and Broomsticks, this is great. Oh, God, no!
Although I tell you what, I'm going to be like old and senile and not even remember my own name, but I will still remember the 4 sacred Zoroastrian words. Trachuna, Macoides, Trachorum, Satis, D. Oh, and then the part where they go, meow.
Weren't they
It wasn't
Latin?
your man Zoroastrian, though. So it would have been whatever language he spoke.
He might have been Latin, he might have been Zoroastrian, but that sounds Latin to me.
If you narrate the show, we'll Google that. Well, ask Angela Lansbury.
Although Zoroastrianism predates Rome, so
Yeah.
he may well have been a Latin-speaking Zoroastrian.
Or he was a, like, Middle Ages scholar who dug up the Zoroastrian secrets, but wrote them down in Latin.
Yeah,
Aye.
could well be.
Aye, because Latin was the default language of literacy in Europe for quite some time. But yeah, so it was
Which
just...
is ironic considering no one can fucking write it.
I know. Well, it's because of the syntax. But the framing device for this was just, this, like I say, this weird chorus interspersed with, like, live action video from the 50s, and it looks like just some people who are at Disney World or Disneyland, you know, at Christmas, because there are people wearing, like, jackets and stuff, so it's probably colder in Florida, but...
And they're like,
And, like, interacting with, like, the costumed Mickey and Minnie while this chorus behind them is like, oh, no, it was Christmas.
it's like, here's a thing for sale, it costs more than you'll earn in a week. Your children can't have it because you're a scumbag without a job that pays well enough to buy our shit because we're Disney.
It's the 1950s. The golden age will be over soon.
And
And there's also, like, inexplicably
equality
a bit...
is coming. Be terrified, white people in Disney World.
There's also a bit from Sword in the Stone. Just because, again, there happens to be snow on the ground during it. And it's the part where he pulls the sword from the stone. And then, like, you know, you don't even get to see, like, the almost orgasmic payoff of him coming back to the knight and being like, look. And they're like, holy fuck. And then the big fat knight who's been bullying him, like, through the whole entire movie, takes his hat off and takes a knee. Because he's like, by all rights, the divine king of England now. So we didn't get that. We just got, like... As he was pulling the sword from the stone, a bad ADR saying, and this was the legend of the beginning of King Arthur. And I was like...
It's got something to do with Christmas. Allegedly.
Although it really has been too long since I watched The Sword in the Stone. It used to be one of my favorites.
Arthur, do not take me as a conjurer of cheap tricks. Because Merlin was yelling at him.
Aye. Merlin was very tetchy. But what else? Oh, there was also The Night Before Christmas. Or no, not The Night Before Christmas. What's the...
There was the thing with Santa Claus coming, and there was...
Yeah, it was The Night Before Christmas.
Yeah.
But it was like one of the really, really early shorts from the 30s.
It was so 1930s. I mean, Santa Claus looked like an anime character, so 30s.
And it didn't say ho, it said, ah, ha, 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 like that, except like barrel-chestedly.
I think if they really wanted a 30s thing, and that was the only one they could put in there because there wasn't quite racist imagery. There was almost... Because Santa Claus, when he came down the chimney, his face was solid black.
But that was...
I know it was, but in any other 30s movie, he would have wiped his mouth or something like that first, and it would have created huge red lips.
Yeah.
There would have been some, because, to the 30s, that was an innocent sort of, family joke. Yeah. So, they found the
Can
only
it's
one.
a black person.
They found the only one where Santa Claus gets his face covered in soot, and it didn't result in a blackface gag. So impressive.
And there's like a bed upstairs where like 7 little children who are all about the same age are sleeping. And like I remember like watching stuff like that when I was little, and someone like, why are they all sleeping in the same bed? Why do they have one huge bed? Why don't they just have like many small beds? And she was
Surely
like,
a giant bed is more expensive.
that would be my thought, yeah. And she's like, no, see, back during the Depression, the whole family had to sleep together. And, like, that's handy, so if you have a bad dream...
I mean, I've run a household, of 8 or 10 people with, unlimited means in The Sims. The trick is you get, 3 beds and you make them sort of sleep at various intervals, like they do in a submarine.
That would be pretty cool. We actually watched a video about how to live on a submarine on YouTube. It's very factual.
Yeah. First of all, you need to be a guy and you need to have, some kind of facial hair.
It's the law. But yeah, so I mean, it was pretty cute because, it's an impoverished family, so Santa brings them a Christmas tree and all the toys, and the toys set up the tree, and it's all like, yay! And then all the Waynes wake up.
Toy Story, but
cute. No trauma.
Depression era. And
then it ended up with some, oh no, it was Christmas. And I was so angry because we were denied. Whoa, the auto thing is going again. There we go. Oh God, I'm like a Jedi cross.
I think it's the lights, because sometimes they're behind you. They're not consistent, you see. Sometimes there's a big clump of them. Sometimes it's a halo because you are heavenly.
That's me. Heavenly lights from Tesco. But yeah, so I actually had to because I had my phone, go onto YouTube on my phone and play the ending song from All of Us to All of You from the original animated one, which was so much better than this, weird chorus bullshit.
There was also the Peter Pan song.
Yeah, there was I Can Fly, or You Can Fly from Peter Pan. And, I realized that, if it was now that, Tinkerbell would have, her Instagram would just be, the bitchiest place. She'd just, assault everybody. Yeah. She's like, let me tell you about Wendy, she's a basic bitch.
Yeah, Wendy's like, well, at least
At
least I invented, a name. Well, she didn't invent it, but she was the first Wendy, she's the first use of that name, apparently,
This is true. This is actually true.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that always rubbed me the wrong way about Peter Pan is I know that, you're supposed to... Wendy is, the audience insert character, and to a lesser extent, Michael and John. But, I didn't like Wendy. She was bossy and posh. I really would have rather just watched Peter Pan's Adventures. And it always bothered me that,
Peter Pan and the Pirates.
Yeah, but that wasn't what we had on VHS. I also liked the dad. I thought the dad was pretty cool. Because he, left the house with a cane and a cape, and I was like, fuck yeah, I wear a cape and a top hat.
That's because the dad is Captain Hook.
I know, and that's the joke, and yeah, which says some pretty weird and creepy things about the darling thing.
Tell me what you told... Tell them what you told me about that alternate telling of Peter Pan that you came across.
Oh yeah, I was linked this on Reddit, I want to say about a month or so ago. And it's a print on demand. It's an indie title, and I believe it's called Peter Darling, and you can buy it on Amazon. And the premise of the book is that Wendy is a trans guy, and she's created the persona of Peter Pan kind of as a delusional escape from the world of Victoriana and being feminine and having to wear 5 squillion petticoats a day and stuff like that. And I haven't read it, but I looked at the Goodreads page. It's got pretty good reviews. So if that really seems cool to you, that's check it out.
Genius alternate sort of idea.
Aye.
I do like a well thought out alternate take on a famous story.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the cool stuff that you can do with public domain stuff. I remember once, and God, this was on LiveJournal.
Although it's not the public domain in the UK.
No.
Because it's still owned by Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Well, you can, apparently, they'll approve licenses because... I want to say about 10 or so years ago, Dave Barry and Ridley Pearson got together to write a series called Peter and the Starcatchers, and they had to seek the licensure.
Yeah,
but
if they don't like what you're doing,
awesome, so.
If they don't like what you're doing, they'll get angry.
Yeah, but you can do it an all but name, because there's 50 squillion different young adult novels that feature Peter Pan and the Pirates and Captain Hook.
Yeah, and worst case scenario, you just can't sell it in the UK.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wrote on again, this was LiveJournal, this is how long ago this was, a short that a whole bunch of my friends really liked, and I wanted to do something with it, but I never did, where, Wendy's on Instant Messenger, because that's what it was around, the late 90s, early aughts, so it must have been, when I got my LiveJournal in 2002, so it must have been about 2002, 2003, and like Peter swings by. And he's like, hey, let's go, like, you know, bother the pirates or, like, hang out with the Native Americans. And she's like, I don't want to do that. Let's go clubbing. And he's like, again. And so she, like, goes into John's room because I've decided that, like, Peter and John are kind of the same size. And, like, gets him, like, some club pants and, like, a really shiny, like, Hot Topic shirt. And, like, puts gel in his hair. And he's like, why do I always have to go clubbing? It's so loud. And, I don't know, Tinkerbell doesn't like it there. And she's like, no, come on, Pete. Like, you have to, like, get out there. Like, have some fun. You know, you get to talking to people. Maybe, like, make some friends, you know? And he's like, you mean grow up? And she's like, you're so cute. Come on, let's go. And he's like, can we fly there this time?
It's a funny idea. I like it. But I'm also trying to work out the island, Never Never Land. The island is not big enough to have such a big population of Native Americans and the pirates and those, you know, all of their, you know, it just doesn't have enough. And there doesn't seem to be much in the way of farmers or whatever, or fishermen. Like, you know, there's no real infrastructure. It's just these disparate groups. And where the fuck did the pirates come from?
Well, one of the young adult novels, which I forget what it was called, but it accidentally, I think it was called Lost Boy. It actually ended up in sci-fi fantasy. And so over several nights at the shop, I basically kind of read through the book. And Peter Pan was like this evil, like, nature spirit who, like, sacrificed boys to the island because the island made him immortal. And so basically he would collect boys and bring them there, and they'd have lots of adventures. But eventually the island's magic lost their hold on him, and they would start to grow old. And then they would either be killed or they would be exiled. And if they could make it across this, like, horrible wasteland full of monsters, they became pirates. And so basically,
okay, fair enough.
His second in command, this kid Jamie, like, he has this whole, he figures out Peter's secret. He has this whole, but he does manage to save, like, a whole bunch of the youngest boys, and, you know, but he has this epic battle with Peter, has his hand cut off, and then the pirates take him in, and, like, I was quite touching, actually. Spoilers, by the way, for this young adult novel. But, like, you know, like, they show up, and they're, like, these pirates that they've been locked in mortal struggle with. They killed several of the pirates. Are all, like, because now they've got, like, peach fuzz on their chins, and they're going through puberty, and so the pirates just like, oh, come on, boys, come on. And they, like, sit them down, they take care, and they bandage their wounds, they give them food and drink. They basically welcome them as brothers now. And then, but what Jamie finds out is no matter how far they sail the ship, they can sail and sail and sail. By dawn, they're always just sighting land, which is the island. So basically the pirates are caught. They're trapped there. And I thought that was really cool. Nothing about the how the Native Americans got there. It might have been in the middle of the book, which I kind of, like, sped through, but...
Okay.
So spoilers, but if you still want to read the book, it's really good.
You showed me.
I like that kind of stuff. I like that kind of world building. I think that's really clever.
Yeah, and alternate takes on things. I like that, yeah. I like that better. I like that origin for Peter Pan better than Hook.
It's just Robin Williams. But yeah, this was a shitty letdown that was not as good as the VHS copy that we had in the early 90s. But at least I got to show you the song on YouTube.
On your phone?
On my phone.
Sexy phone. It's Chinese.
It is. It's a Huawei P20. It's really great. I have a really nice case for it. It's probably a Chinese spy phone.
At least it's the Chinese government that's spying on you rather than the NSA.
Yeah, that's true.
It's, you know, variety.
And, like, I mean, I really hope that there's someone sitting in, like, some server farm, like, in some province up in the mountains where this, like, base is dug into the bedrock, like, you know, with Google open on one screen, like 17,000, like the special, like, unblocked Chinese one, you know, trying to translate into Chinese characters the phrase, I ain't saying, I'm just saying what I'm saying. Because I say that a lot, and I hope it picks it up. Can you hear me, Chinese government? I ain't saying, I'm just saying. Translate that. But yeah, so we're getting close to the end. We only have 2 more. I think 2 more, something like that. You're fine, stop it. But we have 2 really, really good ones for day 11 and 12. Well, I think that we do. Okay, we have ones that people are going to enjoy. How's that?
They'll enjoy us complaining.
Well, we don't have to complain. Well, the one I think will be pretty good.
Yeah, but the last one.
The last one will be epic.
Yeah.
Because
that one, that one I completely disagree with your idea that it itself is good.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, okay. One will be actually a good, a good special that, like, is worthy of love and, you know, I was gonna say gratitude, but not gratitude, adoration. And the other one will just be fun for you guys because it's pretty shitty, actually.
You underestimate its shitness.
No, I know. I know what we're going in for.
Pretty
shitty. It's Christmas. It's almost here, so go eat your mince pies. Unless you're not in the UK, then don't bother. We got some mince pies today. I'm gonna eat one because I have a lot of calories, but there you go. Lucas the spider loves you. God bless us, every spider.